Hello, this is Thor Young with Bear Bull Traders, and I'd like to share a recap on my AMRN trade for you today. I actually did two trades on AMRN. One of them worked and I got stopped out. The other one was a classic A1 setup for a wedge down. So I've been talking a lot on these recaps about my personal preference of the wedge and its indication of directional movement. And I really think this next recap really shows that quite well. So let me run you through it real quick. First off, we have my first trade here. AMRN was actually looking really strong in the morning with the market was kind of doing some things, but slow overall. This was on our list, but it was looking strong. So I went ahead and took a long in it. I ended up getting out of it at 23.90. And then I stopped out at break even. It just didn't work. If you'd looked at the order flow, there was nothing going on to the top side. I think there was a couple people in this one and in our chat at Bear Bull, and I just don't think it was working out. So I cast it off to the side on one of my other monitors for a little bit and decided I'd take a look at it later to see if anything developed, and it did. So when I talk about my wedges, I have some things that make it a really solid setup. My buddy Eamon and I call them our A1 setups. And AMRN went into that perfectly for me. So let me show you that. So we have that previous 2390 where it came up to and it failed off of, and you can see it bounced off of VWAP, and then it came up here, and it did not make it back to 2390, rather it failed it by about 5 cents. This, for me, classic double top, right? It could not make that high. If it got back to 2390 and then pulled back off, we got to be a little cautious still, because the fact that it had the momentum to get all the way back up to 2390, it could be wedging up. It could be an ascending wedge, right? But in this instance, it didn't make it, so it failed off, and apparently everyone agreed on that. It failed all the way through VWAP and then bounced off of the 50 here. Now, when I'm waiting for a wedge, the first thing that I need is I need a base level to start off of, and that's what I'm waiting for. So you can see after it bounced off the 50, I get my base level here on the 5 minute. 23.30. I have 1, I get 2, I get 3 touches, and what will eventually be a 4th touch when I take my entry. So you can see after those touches, it pulled back up and it couldn't get out of the moving averages at all. It just really rolled over and came right back down. So I'm really interested right here. So I come back up to my 1 minute. Let's dial down a little bit and see what's going on. You can kind of just see how it fluttered here. Had super low volume, which is a good indicator for me. I want the resting volume before my wedge breaks. So you see this resting volume, and you see it push down, and then it hits that next touch. When it takes that touch, I take my entry at 23.32. My stop loss, 6 cents, 7 cents, anything that breaks the averages. I'll get out and see what happens. I could get stopped out here and it could come and touch again and I'll get right back in again. No problem. But if it pops through the averages, it could fail. And, you know, there was some stuff going on here. It struggled a bit, so who knows. But this is an A1 wedge setup for me. So I got in here, waited, got a nice pop here, took a little P&L profit just to make sure if the wedge fails, it's not a total loser. And then I started grabbing on the way down as it dropped in increments. Most of those increments actually coincide with my 5 minute here. You can actually see that I took it at the loss of momentum here, and I specifically watched the order flow and looked for the loss of momentum for my first partial to make sure it doesn't snap against me and, you know, become a failed wedge. But mainly, that's my first one. And after that, I got it at the 50 cross, right, because we had that happen already. And then the next couple I got when I got down near the bottom of this mark here at 23.10, which it bounced off before. Now, it stopped there and actually pushed together, and at 23.10, it actually ended up making a move back up and then pushed right back down nicely. So I was still pretty confident I was on the right side of this one, and I was. So being down to about 10% of my shares, I went ahead and just set out a final order at 22, I believe it was 86. Yep, 86. And I figured if it comes against me that I'll stop out somewhere around 23.25, just stop my profit there. But I was hoping to get down to this 200 cross. So that's where I put my order and got real lucky. It grabbed me right at the cross, moved away, and it's still been steadily chopping ever since then. So anyway, this was my AMRN wedge trade for you guys. It's a descending wedge with all the right markers. So if you guys are trying to look to see what I'm calling on these things and why I like them, these are the things I'm looking for. A double top, always a good indicator that something's going to happen. It pushed down, managed to find a nice bottom, got my to the penny base on my low volume, everything that I'm looking for when I want to take a descending wedge. So I hope everybody had a great day trading today. I hope you're all staying green.